And welcome to the exhibition Never Say Goodbye. This is an exhibition looking at upcycling, trying not to waste too much of our natural resources. So this is from found object in and around the Darwin area. So the first piece is the Mad Hatter, quite a quirky take on a kookaburra, a combination of the Australian bird and desert rose, and a New Zealand twist with the top hat and a bit of a Japanese feel with the colour combination. And just on the top hat itself, you've got a little dragonfly pin, which is a recurring theme throughout this exhibition. The dragonfly symbolising transformation, so looking at upcycling, transforming one object into another, sometimes repurposing, sometimes keeping it as is as a purpose, or creating something new. And then we have the Charles Darwin horn table. So the chrome horn, you can see as the main stand, was donated by Darwin Harbour Cruises Journey Beyond, as was the fin on the table, the blue fin to the right hand side on turquoise, which was part of an office cabinet door. And the horn stand is balanced out by two threaded metal stands with the tops of taps on them, hot and cold taps, just to give them feet. And then we have a piece of found wood, which I've been practicing the use of Japanese burning techniques, and then waxing up both the fin and the darker wood, as well as the tabletop, which you have to do in the tropical seasons as they get so humid. Moving on to the dragonfly towel rack. Now this was found as is. It's a very unusual shaped wooden towel rack, and this has been upcycled by sanding back, repairing, filling and then painting and then knocking it back to give a sort of a shabby chic look on the paint surface. And then a combination of waxing and painting, some intuitive painting on the based stand of some dragonflies together with a sun motif, and then a eucalyptus leaf motif on the arms using pen and ink. And then we move on to the showpiece of the exhibition, which is a dragonfly. The Darwin City's motif is a dragonfly. This is seen with the council, within the council itself, and in the area. It's a recurring symbol of the city. And this was made by a found object as the Ayako, which is a boom that connects an outrigger's main hull with the buoyancy aid on the outside. So the central body, head and body, is made from an Ayako. The two wings, inner sections of the wings, are made from office doors, and then I've upcycled some frames on either side for the wings completion. And then the two eyes are formed by the bed knobs from a wooden bedstead. And then it's all held together with metal fixtures, as well as attaching it to the wall. And then everything is repaired if it needs to be filled, and repaired and sanded, and then waxed up to give it a nice turquoise blue shade, which is reminiscent of many dragonflies. Smaller dragonflies, the larger ones are brown, but the smaller ones are blue. So then we go on to combination of an upcycled piece but with an upcycled message. So this is a Holden, a classic vintage Holden, which the Holden Society met in Darwin a few months ago. And this was an old Holden panel van. And I've upcycled the frame's colour and matched it with the colour of the car, which was actually the inspiration for the colour combinations of all the things in this room, because this was the colour of the car I saw. And I've painted in the Australasian view of the moon, so it's upside down in our view here as a full moon. And then on the number plate, I've changed the number plate's reading to electric, giving the hope for realisation that you can hold on to the past by converting your older vintage cars. And then we've got underneath NT Leading Australia. The typical number plate has NT Outback Australia, and I've placed NT Leading as again a touch point for future electric cars in Australia. And so on to the next piece. And here we have the eucalypt moon table. So again, another rendition of a moon with the eucalyptus blades on the top, which is a favourite motif of mine. The eucalyptus leaves seen there on the top of the table, and then given a nice fresh combination harlequin combination of colours, turquoise blue on the side, and then the gold shocking pink and white legs. And then we moved on to another complete found object in Darwin, which was this nice blackboard. It was an old wooden frame blackboard with key holder combination, and I sanded it back down, painted it in a lovely sort of very typical green colour for the area and the buildings, and it's got a particular name and I can't remember that at the moment. And it was of old J. Parlett country collection. So I've brought in a combination of eucalypt flower heads and blades with honeybees there, and then the more typical carpenter bee. Honeybees not being of Australian natural fauna, they were introduced. But the carpenter bee, however, the sort of orange body, turquoise abdomen, and sort of the spot on the back. They're single dwelling bees, and they burrow into wood to make their nest. So another upcycled but useful object. And then we have in the reflection of the dragonfly in the mirror, that this is a repurposed piece. So the mirror was originally a printed picture, so I took the print and backboard out and repurposed it as a mirror. Again, sanding back, filling, repairing if needed, and then placing on the dragonfly motifs in copper paint, acrylic paint, silver acrylic paint, and then finishing off with pen and ink detail work. That's me in the mirror. Hello. And then, yes, the finished new piece. And then we have, moving on, we have another example of a not repurposed object, but a recombination. So an old standard lamp needed a new shade. It had fallen to pieces and was beyond repair, so not everything, of course, can be saved. So a new shade was bought, but the crystal chandelier was added, which was a ceiling chandelier, another found object. So that combination gives a sort of a more quirky and classic feel. And then we have another major piece of furniture, again with the eucalyptus blade motif running through it on the front drawers, and new handles placed on. It was a 1980s piece of furniture, so sanded back, painted, and then knocked back to give it a bit of an older feel to it, and then finally waxed up to give it a nice protection in the humid climate. And so moving on again, here we have another carpenter bee. So as was described on the and seen rendered on the key and blackboard, this is a more detailed take of the carpenter bee. There are no bumblebees in Australia, but there are carpenter bees, which can be a little bit of a pest and nuisance, but they do fulfill a purpose and needed purpose, which is sometimes the food for this little fella who's a rainbow bee eater. So on another upcycled frame, I've gone with sort of the reminiscence of sort of insects flying around on the actual frame, so like dragonflies, by flicking paint to get that speedy feel of almost as if it's insects that are chasing around about. And then we have the bee eater perched, possibly looking for one of these. And then we have the fairy wren, this splendid fairy wren, very blue, the male. This is the male fairy wren, who's breeding colours, so he's all blue. He'll be surrounded by almost a harem of females and a few other males, so he'll be in a monogamous relationship with his main mate, the female, who's more brown colour with a blue tail, and then they'll have helper females and males around them. So quite an extended family. Gorgeous coloration on the splendid fairy wren. And here we have a very typical but an endangered species of bird in the Northern Territory, which I observed at Lee Point Caravan Park this dry season, the Gouldian finch. These are beautifully coloured birds. They come in all sorts of colour combinations, the red-headed variety being one of them. Sometimes they've purple heads and sometimes black head and then different coloration, but this is a particularly nice variety. And again, another upcycled frame. So this would have been a backboard for maybe a photograph, and I've taken the photograph out and then sanded back the hardboard and then painted it, so it gives it a nice texture. You should be able to just make out there's a nice sort of texture created by that, and then use of metallic paints for the eucalypt because of the sort of the shiny sunlight, and then the bird painted in acrylic after drawing out, so you get a real feathery feel. So there's a pen and ink work going on below the paint and then built up with acrylic. And then we have this fella. This is at the window. So here we have what I see as two friends really. The dragonfly inside at the window. He's on the top right hand side, and then the magpie looking in. Magpies have incredibly good facial recognition, so once they do recognise, and if they're treated well, they don't swoop at people, and they are particularly friendly. So they have the ability to recognise and then befriend, which is quite nice. And this is done in pen and ink. Only touch of colour for the magpie is with just bringing in the brown gold into his eye, but the rest of him is done with pen and ink, just to give that detail of feather. And then we move on to the last piece of the exhibition. And this is a limited edition print. This is a prize-winning piece that was placed into the Climate exhibition in 2020 as part of the Darwin Visual Artists, and was displayed at Nightcliff to the north of Darwin CBD on the coast. And its message is one of warning and a call to action, really. It subverts a message of marketing for tourism. Where the bloody hell are you? Basically, Australia was ready for tourists to come, so they would say, where the bloody hell are you? Because we're ready. So I've subverted that message, given its creator during the time of being Prime Minister was in Hawaii when Australia was burning. So I thought it was apt to use that message and create a piece that shows an iconic animal for Australia in danger, perched on a burning branch in a bell jar, specimen bell jar, protecting its young. And then I framed up the piece. This is, again, another practice of the Japanese wood burning technique. As for the Charles Darwin horn table, the wooden frame is burnt back, so it was an old frame, repurposed. It was holding a Buddha statue head but was broken. So I've burned the wood to give it that lovely, and then waxed it afterwards to give it a lovely burnished and fire protected quality. So this won't burn. It's already burned the surface, so it actually gives it a fire resistance. And then I've gone with another Japanese technique, which is to use gold paint. In my case, it is usually used with pottery, kintsugi. This I'm using gold paint to fill in some of the missing parts of the wood and then the joints, as if it's being brought back together, and the full journey of the piece celebrated. So it goes together nicely with the koala bears, because there's a sense of holding on to something that's precious and putting effort and energy into rescuing it. So, and that creates the full room. I try to create the whole room as I would as in a piece of interior design. So furniture in place, as well as not that you'd have probably a gigantic dragonfly in your room, but I would love one. And tables, lampshades, and the pictures and the mirrors. So a fully functioning room. Thank you for watching.